So I saw, what's it called? Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and I got some questions for it. I got a lot of questions for it actually, but I'm gonna keep it to just 10, so I don't overblow the video because I just want this to be a quick little thing. And yeah.
Alrighty, so I saw Rise of Skywalker, and I have some questions. First, let me set the stage for you a bit so you can understand where I'm coming from. I am not a Star Wars fan. I've seen the originals, the prequels, and Episode 7, but not 8 because I thought 7 was really bad. And to be frank, I wasn't going to see this one, but my beloved pet hamster Minion's old age is settling in, and I give her about another week or so before she's off in that giant hamster wheel in the sky, so I needed something to get my mind off of it. Anyway, let's get into this. So where's Palpatine been this whole time? Now forgive me, but from Return of the Jedi we saw Palpatine get thrown down a space well, blow up in said space well, and presumably what remained would have blown up with the Death Star. Reason would lead me to believe he's dead, but he literally is just there and magically he's responsible for the course of events in Episode 7 on. And everyone just accepts it. There wasn't even a mention of Palpatine in 7 if I remember right. Was this foreshadowed in Episode 8? Because if it's anywhere, that's where I'm assuming it'd be. So why wasn't Rey with Finn and Poe at the beginning of the movie? She was training with Leia, but Poe makes a pretty meta remark about how she's already the strongest fighter they've got and needed her elsewhere. He's got a point. Isn't that the biggest complaint about Rey is she's way too overpowered and gets all the Force stuff handed to her without effort? Training her is kind of pointless, I'd argue. I mean, look at what she's already accomplished over the course of her 2 movies. What's the deal with the Knights of Ren? They don't do anything through the entire movie until the very end when they try to beat up on Kylo Ren. They have no lightsabers, they don't use the Force. What makes them so special? Why didn't Hux go with Finn and Poe? Is he that dumb? I think that's enough said. What was the point of the whole C-3PO can't translate the knife? I get he'll lose his memory, but even in the scene they talk about it, they bring up R2-D2 has a backup of his memory. So obviously he gets it back 3 scenes later and no one seems to care either way. What killed Leia? She just sorta drops dead. Real life, I assume this is where Carrie Fisher died during filming, so they had to do something. Kylo and Rey are fighting, and she dies. That's pretty much it. No real explanation. How is Kylo Ren threatening? Haven't they beat him for 2 whole movies at this point? This goes back to question 2 and how Rey doesn't need to train at all. How is Rey in love with Ben slash Kylo Ren? In the first movie, Han Solo becomes Rey's bestest buddy because of her Mary Sue powers, and Kylo kills him. You think she'd feel a way about that. I'm assuming this is covered in Episode 8. So if all those ships at the end gathered together to bail out Poe and friends had always been there, how the heck did the First Order become such a problem to begin with? What were their origins anyway? I don't think that's ever touched on. They just appeared one day looking like the Empire, and the Resistance came out of the people who should have had the ruling authority in the galaxy from the last war because J.J. Abrams doesn't know how to craft an original plot. Why was the First Order in charge of large swaths of space? Shouldn't they be the rebellion? I mean, it doesn't seem that way from what we see. Alright, here's the big one. So, Palpatine's plan was to coerce Rey into killing him, thus somehow letting him bodyjack Rey and living on through her. But then she defies him, they fight, and she kills him anyway after he got stronger by sucking out her and Kylo's youthful juices. And this somehow kills him dead and doesn't possess Rey. Like, that was his whole master plan, though. Rey kills him, and thus he can transfer his spirit to Rey. This doesn't make any sense. The heroes should have been in a no-win situation against the Empire that they needed to discover a clever solution to, but for some reason Rey kills him and it works out. And for that matter, why did 2 lightsabers beat the Emperor's lightning but 1 couldn't? That makes no sense. Are you telling me Mace Windu could have saved the galaxy in Episode 3 if he just grabbed an extra lightsaber from one of the dead Jedi?
I mean, if you're looking for, because these were just questions. It wasn't really like a review or anything like that. A discussion of the video or discussion of the movie. I mean, if you want my opinion on it, I don't have what I would call that weaponized internet rage towards the movie or anything. It's just it's an all flash, no substance movie that I'm probably not going to see again. I didn't hate it. I mean, I actually enjoyed a lot of the parts where it was Finn and Poe doing their thing. I thought that was a lot of fun. There were definitely little glimmers of what would have been a good movie in there, a good story in there. It's just it's bogged down by just questionable everything else that happens. But yeah, so that's pretty much my overall opinion on the movie. There's the 10 questions, and then it's not. I wouldn't consider it a terrible movie. It's just not a good movie. Something like if it was on TNT, I'd probably sit through it. I guess I don't know if I was at the gym, I was on the treadmill or something. But I'm starting to drone on. The rest of you, y'all have a great night.